Cinco de Mayo. Yeah. My shorty bad like Shakira.
Ooh.
I told her look in the mirror.
Yeah.
Don't need a license to carry. I do not let them sit near. She got a heart that's so pure. Better hope nothing occur. Better hope nothing occur.
Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of NFL Flag Talk, where we talk about all the topics in relating to NFL flag. I am Eric Cooper.
I'm Rashad Colvin.
And this week, this month, this episode, we're talking about officiating. And what better guest to have on than the Director of Officiating for NFL Flag, than none other than Tom Laneve. How you doing, Tom?
Hey, I'm doing great, Coop. I really appreciate the opportunity to sit in with you gentlemen, and try and give a little bit more insight into officiating and where we are today.
So before we get started, could you share with us your journey and experiences and how you became a part of the director, and just how you got into officiating in the first place, and your passion and things of that nature?
Yeah, sure. I'm happy to. One of the things I'm most proud of is that I've been involved with the NFL flag program for 25 of the 26 years it's been in operation. I've been able and fortunate enough to hold just about every position, including starting my own league here locally in our little town of Preston, Maryland, on the Eastern Shore. By doing that, I've held many different positions, regional manager. Also helped with tournament operations on regional level. Also recruitment, retention of officials. When I came into this position, when asked to come on board for that particular position by USA Football about 12 to 13 years ago. But I also was a coach, and I coached here locally, many teams locally. Through my program, carrying teams to the national championships, both boys divisions, youth, 10U, 12U, and girls division 3 years in a row. Very proud of that as well. So of all of that, I use and bring that experience here to this position that I was asked to take on years ago with USA Football. It got to the point, as I was told, that where coaches were not even permitted on the sidelines in the championships or tournament level. They basically had one coach sit in a chair about 10 yards off the end zone pylon as if they were in timeout. Weren't allowed to send any signals or anything towards the sidelines, or they'd be ejected. There was a lot of acrimony going back and forth between the officials and the coaches. So the first thing that I did was implement a training program so that everyone could understand the rules and everybody's roles, and try and develop an atmosphere of cooperation and collaboration with everyone. Fortunately, through my work with USA Football, I was able to convince them to put a coach back on the field at championships. And then now, ultimately, we have two coaches there. Currently, I work with RCX Sports. I was brought on board as the director of officiating at that time. So that's where I am right now.
Now, Tom, let me ask you this. Everyone has like a why, their why they do that, or why they do what they do. Like, what is like your personal motivation for like what you do, and what's your why?
My personal motivation and why is the passion and enthusiasm around the game of football, and understanding that through the game of football, we're here and we're able to elevate others, and we're mentors of those kids and those players and those athletes that we have in our charge. I'm very passionate about this game and what this game has brought to me personally as well as professionally, and I love sharing that with others, Rashad, because I see what it's done and been able to do for me, not only as a player growing up and into the collegiate level, but also on a coaching level. And that's one of the things that I feel, very blessed to bring to this position, because I understand what coaches do and go through. But at the same time, I understand that we hold those athletes in our care, and it's important that we know that and understand that through our daily walk of life.
So let's talk about some rules and regulations. So what are some of the key differences between NFL flag and tackle, and some of the rules and related to flag?
Well, the key difference in regards to flag and the tackle platform is obviously we're limiting the contact. There are no pads, there are no helmets. Safety is paramount in all of these. And sitting in on and assisting from time to time with the original rules that we put in place, everything that we're thinking about, including now, while I take into consideration everything every year and I review the rule book, safety has to come first. So we limit the contact off the line of scrimmage first and foremost. We also try and make sure and ensure that everything from a safety standpoint is addressed, from a mouthpiece while you're wearing on the field to the way the equipment is worn, making sure that there's no exposed pockets where a young athlete could reach in and break a finger, those types of things, and as well as securing equipment on the face and the head area, because not all glasses are safety inspected and graded. So we have to make and ensure that should something happen, no matter how minuscule the chance would be, that we're looking at safety in regards to that. So the rules there, that's really where the main differences are. Everything else, it's football. I mean, it's the same game. You know, we're teaching them to track the near hip, use the sideline as an additional defender, understanding that there's target points, landmarks, all those things we're teaching. Same things about get-offs, break points, aiming points, everything. So it's football everywhere else other than the contact aspect.
I guess I just want to ask a question because we're talking about officiating. The picture in your background, where was that picture taken?
This picture was taken at national championships. The last year we were at Pro Bowl in Orlando.
Okay.
And I'm very proud of this photo because it carries with me those that are working with me and are able to go out there and serve the game and serve those that got to the national championships. These are spots that are very difficult. It's one of my most difficult jobs here in this position.
For sure.
There's over 800 officials now working our regionals throughout the course of the year.
Wow.
Multiply that times how many years we've been in operation.
Right.
And there's only 60 spots for those that have the opportunity to work our national championships every year. And I grade and work through and try and get as many as I can to this great event. But I'm very proud of this particular background photo because this is me. This is us. This is our service to everyone else.
Gotcha. All right. And I guess kind of piggybacking on that question, what would someone take, like, let's just say, would be the difference of making, like, let's just say, hey, I want to be an official at the highest level at the national championship. Like, what would one have to do to be able to get a good grade, to be able to, have a seat and be an official at that tournament?
Great question, Rashad. First and foremost, they have to work our regional tournaments. And then secondly, and just as equally important, they have to be a certified NFL flag official. The certification program is something I'm very, very proud of. I've created many different training programs, including the fundamentals of officiating football with collaboration with Bill LeMonnier when I was with USA Football, working and creating that course. But this particular course, I've been working on it for quite some time. And I was, with the help of RCX Sports, I was able to bring this to life. This program here and the training that's provided in it is the most comprehensive flag football officiating training program that's available to anyone.
Nice.
You have to take a test on the rule book. You have to pass that test. It's a 40-question test. And then it goes into 6 modules, training modules that goes over everything when it comes to officiating flag. But those modules themselves, they also can transfer to any platform of football: communication, pace of play, penalties and enforcement, understanding your interactions with coaches and interpretations of rules. So they have to be certified. I watch and observe all the officials, including the one that we had recently this summer in Pittsburgh. So every official that worked that tournament was under consideration as well, and will be moving forward as we continue to work down the plane. But those are the things that I look for. And then I observe them on the field, their actions, how they interact with coaches, their pace of play, how they enforce the rules. If there's something that's going on out there in regards to, their conversations and their interactions with coaches, especially if their tone isn't quite where it needs to be, if it's more aggressive than it should be, if they're not listening as opposed to, just over talking and overreaching those. So all aspects go into that. And then go through this at the end, generally in August, because that's a dead area for us. And I review all my notes, and then I make recommendations based off of that. And then I try and get it out there to those individuals that are offered those appointments early enough, because there are some expenses that are incurred, and I want to try and offer them a long runway to be able to participate.
Gotcha.
Hey, I could testify to that. First of all, I passed that course.
Okay.
And I did officiate in that NFL flag regional. Now,
Nice.
Tom has to call me back. I don't know what that means. But anyways, but what are some of the officiating, what are some of the challenges as an official in the officiate? What do you think are some of the challenges that people have when they do this job?
Okay. Well, I'll take it from an overreaching aspect first. Resources for officials are dwindling. There have been many challenges and that are out there, and they're all well documented. One of the things that I work on consistently is continuing to maintain my point contacts in every state around the country to try and develop additional resources, and also make sure and ensure that they know that I'm here to help them. One of the things that's very close to me in everything, it's about the relationships for me. It's not just a professional relationship, it's a personal relationship. I take everything to the degree as if it's me who's working with myself in this particular position and how I would want to be treated. Because I've been on the other side where I'm sending emails, I'm not getting responses. I don't feel like I'm being heard, those types of things. And it's very important to me to make sure that everyone understands that that if they send me an email or they reach out, that it's very important for me, so that I need to get back to them within 24 hours, sometimes to a fault. But moving in regards to an official out there on the field, as far as challenges there, I think really one of the things that can be a challenge for officials who work many different platforms is making the transition to our rules, coming and working maybe one or two events a year, because everything that we do, whether that's football or otherwise, and especially when it comes to football, you want to be able to just read, react, and just play, right? You do that through practice, okay? The same thing and those same principles apply to officiating. If you're not out there working in a league like yours, which is very successful, and then step onto the field to officiate our highest level, there's going to be some things that are going to be issues on the field, coaches' perception of understanding the rules, all those types of things. So I try and work very diligently in training and providing those resources for those officials so that they feel comfortable out there. And we can talk about that in a minute, but to try and stay on your point, there are some other issues, especially in our tournament atmosphere, and then also too in our league atmosphere, where parents, coaches, sometimes there's a lot of things going on. And I'm a parent, okay? When I watch my son come up and play those platform football, especially when he's in college, I was nowhere near anybody. I took that high corner bleacher seat all the way in the end, okay? Because I'm a football coach, I'm football mind, all those things that I do. And I know my limitations, okay? Because I'm going to start talking. I'm Italian. I use my hands. I'm speaking all the time. I know my limitations. But in our league play, in our tournament play, the parents are right on you. They are right on you.
Right.
And you can't help but hear these things. But we have to be professionals, and we should never engage parents whatsoever.
Agreed.
And when it comes to coaches, we should really just be directing our comments or questions or answering those comments or questions from them to the head coach. Once we start involving others there, then we're opening up more avenues for issues to be created, okay? Whether they're perceived or whether they're there, if that makes sense. I think those are the main challenges that are there for officials. And then also too, as they leave the field, as they leave and go to their car, if they're approached by coaches or if they're approached by fans, that can be very challenging.
Correct.
Okay. And you really have to watch and you really have to be alert in regards to those situations and make sure that you don't disrespect them by how you are perceived, because, it's both verbal and visual as far as communication. I mean, if I'm looking down at the ground while somebody's talking to me, I'm telling them I'm not listening.
Absolutely.
Okay. If I've got my arms folded, and I'm looking at them, I'm not engaged in them in a way where I've got an open mind. Okay. And I really drive those things and points home, not only at the regionals, but through the certification course, as you're aware, all of those things and the trainings that I go through and I provide to the leagues out there every year, spring and fall, so those are the challenges I think that are most pressing and most concerning for officials on the field. Okay. From every aspect there. I think those are the most important.
Cool. So I feel like you answered a question that I was going to ask. So I'm going to graze over that one. So I guess what I want to ask you is like blitzing the quarterback, like that rule interpretation. Like I know it's kind of ambiguous. So I guess like coaches kind of look at it differently. So I want you to give the world like the actual like definition, like how impeding a blitzer or impeding a rusher or just rushing a quarterback, like how that works. Like how do you see it? Like how it really should be enforced?
Well, Rashad, you bring up a great point. Impeding the rusher call is the most contested call in NFL flag, and it's the most contested call in flag football everywhere.
Absolutely.
And the reason for that is that judgment comes into play. And it's going to be based off of what the official sees, based off of the rules as they're laid out. Now, just to let you know, I look at all of these rules very intently and what's going on and how I can help, okay, in describing that. One of those was creating that diagram in regards to the rules training that I go through. Okay, whether it's coaches' access for tournaments play or the training sessions that I run virtually or otherwise. By showing that on a screen, you can see very clearly what I'm trying to describe and as far as the rules as it's laid out, those lanes and those paths that the rusher is entitled to without impediment, contact, or otherwise by the offensive team. And I also have to take into consideration that coaches, I don't want to unnecessarily insert myself into good coaching either. Okay. Cause I was a coach. All right. And I kind of like, and I say it a lot of times in my virtual trainings, coaches, we all know there's a gray area. I would prefer you to get to the lightest part of that gray as possible if you can, because in this situation, you run the risk of those penalties. But to give you as best description about that, I need to stop for a second because my train of thought sometimes when things come to my front of my head here, I need to get it out because it might go out the side, because my wife is sometimes, I'm not as attentive as I should be.
Gotcha.
I intend to add additional verbiage to this rule. And what I'm talking about is literal verbiage, because we need to see as much as we can from a coach's aspect and from an officiating standpoint of a description of what it is that's permitted and what's not. So I try and get these certain rules as literal as I can. And I think that I can make a major improvement going into next year. So look for that down the road. Okay.
Absolutely.
But to get back on your point, you have to look at it from a standpoint of where the rusher is, or the snap. First, you have to think, okay, pre-snap. I'm finding the rusher, okay, which is another point where I'm going to try and define a little bit better for everybody too. But you find the rusher and you find the quarterback. It's the path is established directly from where those individuals are before the ball is snapped.
Agreed.
Now, once the ball is snapped, that path doesn't move. It stays to where it is. It doesn't matter whether the ball is handed off. It doesn't matter whether the quarterback rolls out. It doesn't matter whether the rusher decides to change their direction. That is the path that we're talking about. There should be no offensive player running through that area, okay, that could cause an issue of an impediment of the rusher if they're still in that path, whether they make contact or not, in the official's judgment, okay? So that is the nature of the rule. If they make contact, then they can elevate that to, an unnecessary roughness call or something like that, but it also could be impeding. It depends on what the official's judgment decides to do as that play develops. The other piece of this is that if there's an offensive player that holds their position post-snap in that lane, okay, and I had a play designed just for this, okay, all right, okay, and I called it stack shotgun, and basically I had all 4 offensive players hold their position. They're lined up next to each other. Now, in order for this rule to be applied, you have to have 0 splits. You can't have 1 yard splits, 2 yard splits, and expect the rusher to go around an 8 yard area.
Gotcha.
You have to be next to each other. In other words, a bunch formation.
For sure.
Okay, and you all know what you're all experienced in great coaching. I would have my quarterback directly behind center. Okay, in a shotgun formation, they'd snap it to the quarterback. Okay, the rusher would be coming, and this is when I've already determined that they're coming from over the center. Okay, we all as coaches, we make our adjustments. In these situations, the rusher has to go around the outside shoulder of that player or players to get to the quarterback. Once the rusher gets to the line of scrimmage, those players can leave. Okay, right? And basically like a shotgun buckshot shooting, okay, I had pass patterns designed specifically for those players at multiple levels.
Okay.
And my quarterback would read deep to short, right to left.
Okay.
Okay. So right away, I'm replacing the rusher with a go route. Okay. And if he's open, I'm deep and I got to score, right?
Sure.
Okay. Or I've got outlets and under routes and those types of things where I'm going to be able to try and take advantage of what the defense is doing and has presented to me through the course of the game. So those are the 2 aspects, and I'm getting into my coaching aspect here with you guys and sharing you little secrets from Coach Tom. But
sure.
the basis of this rule is really very simple. If there's an impediment of the rusher while they're in that initial lane, whether they're coming from an angle or whether they're coming from over top the center, you run the risk. And I say risk because it's going to be directly in the official's judgment, not the coach's judgment, okay? The official judgment as to whether, in fact, there's an impeding call coming. Now, one key thing that you should be aware of, and everybody else that might be listening in regards to this, the reason why at regional tournaments you see 3 officials on the field, one, that was part of my initial adjustment to all the acrimony that was going on when I was brought on board because there wasn't enough eyes on the field. We needed to add 1 more official. But also, too, having the white hat in the backfield, they are the ones that have the proper sight lines to be able to make this call. If we're on the boundary, we can only guess. Guess is not a word we want to use in officiating. And this isn't a slight against coaches, but your perspective from the boundary as opposed to the perspective of the white hat behind the ball where they can see that angle. Okay, and they can see where the rusher's coming from, is 2 totally different things. Okay, and that's the reason why it's contested. You may see one thing from a boundary when we're seeing something totally different from on the field. So I hope I was able to answer that question for you, but also I want to make sure we're all clear that just because a handoff is made does not mean the impeding call could be going away because that lane is still there. And any player behind the line of scrimmage is legally eligible to throw the ball. So unless and until the ball crosses the line of scrimmage, okay, and the rush is still active, that impeding call will not go away.
Okay. Learn something new today.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
So we need to understand that aspect too.
Nice.
So again, and that's one of the reasons why I'm walking around all these fields. And I'm very adamant okay, to all my officials at the tournament level. When I'm walking up to a field, you better have the same mechanics as the other fields. And if I see you on the boundary,
more on that one.
okay, trust and understand I'm going to be behind you, okay, telling you in your ear, next play, I need to see you behind the line of scrimmage and get your mechanics correct.
Nice.
And I actually had to do that at several tournaments this year.
Okay.
Okay. Even after these things. And again, I want to be a facilitator, not a dictator.
Absolutely.
I know, sometimes when I'm moving around and those types of things, I really have to check my tone, and it's up to me to make sure that I do those self-checks as well as I ask my officials. But that's it in a nutshell. Did I answer your question?
Absolutely.
Do you think there's anything else that you need?
No, I think you did a good job answering that.
Yes.
Thank
and
you.
That coaching tip was even better, Tom.
Absolutely.
So coaches can
I'd open up my playbook to you guys, but I mean, then I'd have to do it for everybody. You know what I mean? I've got my special playbook just like you. I got we only ran 8 plays, and I just loved the coaching. And, my son was a quarterback. He was too big to play Pop Warner. He was actually able to be our quarterback, could drop the ball on a dime. And
Nice.
he had an opportunity to play in the national championships.
Nice.
And in the same year, we went to the Little League World Series. I coached him in the Little League World Series in Williamsport.
Okay.
So that was a full year.
Okay.
That was a full year in
For
2004, man.
I love it.
Okay, now throughout your career in officiating in all aspects, give us an achievement. What is your biggest achievement, and even what is your biggest challenge that you had?
I would say my biggest achievement, without a doubt, was changing the game of professional football. I was charged with writing the rule book for the Pro Bowl games.
Wow.
And helping and assisting the National Football League transition the Pro Bowl from what it was to what it is now. And create the rule book. I worked internally with the league office. I worked internally with the Mannings and helping and the coaching
awesome.
and worked on a field. I'm very much looking forward to it again this year.
Nice. We are too.
Brought in and helped train the officials that were on the field, and continually doing that. And I'm very excited about the group that we have this year. So I would say that is my greatest achievement. But at the same time, put right alongside of that, being able to travel to China in 2011 and help develop that program over there, developing a training program for that country, traveling to 3 cities, and working with students in 44 different universities and combining that training and helping to grow the game there, not only from an officiating standpoint, but also running football clinics in conjunction with those trainings. So that would be it. As far as, would you say challenge? Is that the challenge?
Yep.
I think, that's a tough one. The challenges that I'm faced with on a daily basis is just trying to, I think right now is just trying to be able to manage everything from my perspective here, understanding all the responsibilities and duties that I have here. Fortunate enough that I'm going to be able to bring someone on to help and assist. But over the last several years, I think the challenge has been trying to find some time for myself, because I am so committed
For sure.
to making sure that everyone is taken care of, because it's my family, everyone. I mean, I consider it that way in regards to the officials, the coaches, anything that comes in, they're looking for an answer because their parents are asking them for answers. My officials need to get paid, and I want to make sure they get taken care of. So when I see an email drop or I'm here, I can end up getting lost in a matter. I look up and there's like 2 hours gone. You know what I mean? And that's on a weekend or even a holiday when I get up early in the morning. I'm an early riser. I'm checking, and I think that's my biggest challenge, man. And hopefully now, getting a coordinator on board here, hopefully in the next couple of weeks, moving into the first of the year, to help take some of that off of my plate will be helpful there.
Absolutely. All right. So I think we are all just really excited about the 2028 Olympics and flag football being introduced to the Olympics. Like, do you see any rule changes that may come about in NFL flag because of the 2028 Olympics? Because we're looking at it like we would assume that because the flag like flag football is going to be in the Olympics, it might be like a trickle down effect where now the youth are have to adjust to those rules, and that'll be the rules for everyone. Like, do you see that like happening, or do you see anything because of flag football being in the Olympics that it'll be a snowball effect or whatever and roll down to us?
Well, I mean, and that's a good question. That's a good question. I understand that. I look at the rules based off of what's beneficial and best for everyone. I don't take change in the rule book lightly, because you're talking about a reset in in all cases, okay, for everyone. And I was asked also to by the league to put together a list in regards to pluses and minuses in regards to 7-on-7 versus 5-on-5 at the high school level and those types of things, and understanding all those aspects. I look at international games, world games, the Olympics, which is great, wonderful news. I know that everyone's been working to that for a long time now. I feel our athletes are going to be able to adjust to those minor differences without just a complete overhaul to try and come into just what they're going to be preparing for that. Okay. I'm not diminishing the importance. Don't get me wrong. But it's just like basketball with the lane differences and things like that. Our athletes can make those minor adjustments regardless, based off of the game that they're playing right here in the United States. Okay. So for me, there may be some changes as we look to try and combine IFAF rules, because I'm well familiar and versed on those, because likely those are the ones they're going to adopt. But I'm not focused on changing the game just for them to get prepared for that or the college level, because I feel that our athletes at that highest level will be able to make that adjustment, just like the pros are making the adjustment to playing flag football right now.
For sure. Okay,
it's still football, right? And you're gonna see much more improvement this year on television, as opposed to others. But yeah, that's how I would approach it, Rashad.
Gotcha.
Now, let's get off the flag football a little bit and talk about some of your just your personal interests, Tom. Besides flag, what else are you interested in? What do you do in your personal spare time? Things of that nature.
Besides my family and my little granddaughters, okay, that's most important. But I'm a coach, and I love coaching. I love teaching.
Nice.
I'm the youth football instructor and lead football coach, youth football coach for the Baltimore Ravens. I've been with them for 25 years.
Nice.
That's my passion.
Okay.
That's what I do with quote unquote my free time. I'm able to get out there and teach and grow the game within our area. There's nothing greater than being able to bring the game and what that can do for others, teaching the game from every level. It doesn't matter whether they're 4 years old or in high school. And I'm able to provide with the help of others, because I think we all understand and know that nothing great is achieved without the help of others and working together. So my passion is surrounded around the game of football and teaching the game of football. So Coach Tom is really where I'm at. Okay. I feel very confident in saying this, that I don't think there's anyone more versed or well prepared or equipped from an officiating standpoint.
Agreed.
I feel very good about my qualifications out there, but I also feel the same way about teaching the game at any level, because I was a former master trainer with USA Football, but my passion is working around the game and teaching the game as Coach Tom. Okay.
Got that.
As Coach Tom.
Nice. All right, Tom. So my final question, and we will wrap this thing up. And again, we appreciate you being on. What advice would you give to someone who wants to get into officiating? Like, what would you tell them, or like how would you introduce them to the game, or what advice would you give someone who's interested in becoming an official for NFL flag?
I would say for any option, first of all, if someone's looking to get into officiating, whether that's basketball, football, baseball, whatever the case might be, go to a game at local high school and seek out the head umpire or the white hat or an official on the field and ask them that question directly.
Gotcha.
Because everyone's always looking for new blood. Okay, we're looking for more resources. That's the first thing I would tell them. As far as NFL flag is concerned, it's really very simple. Just get in touch with me.
Mm-hmm.
Get in touch with me. I don't care where you live. I don't care what you do.
All right.
I will be able to get them connected through me with the local contacts so that they can start from there. But I will also ask them to, if they're serious about it, I will send them all my officiating resources in regards to the links to get certified, some training, the training link, those types of things, and get them started that way. That's how I would get them involved, and I would help them through every bit of the process. Should something come up, they can email me at any time, and we go from there.
Awesome, man. We appreciate you.
And speaking of contacting you, how can they reach out to you? What is your contact or information? How can they reach out to you?
My contact information really is, I would prefer that they email me first. T Laneve, my last name Lane, V as in Victor, E, at rcxsports.com, or they can email asktheofficial@rcxsports.com, because I monitor that email as well, and just send me their complete information, where they live, and I can take it from there.
Sounds great.
Awesome.
All right.
Well, Tom, it's been a pleasure having you on, and we learned a lot, especially more about that and being the rusher and your coaching background. And again, thanks again. We can't wait to see you at future tournaments, especially the Nationals. We'll be there in February, so we'll see you over there.
Sure.
And you can reach us at our podcast and check out our YouTube page and Instagram and everything like that. We'll see you next time. We're going to have some of our former players on who play at the college level to talk about their college experiences on the next episode. So, Tom, thanks again.
Hey, we'll see you soon, man. We definitely appreciate you, Tom.
Blessings to you both. I look forward to seeing you in Orlando. Okay.
Absolutely, man. We appreciate it, Tom.
My shorty bad like Shakira. I told her look in the mirror. Don't need a license to care.
Awesome. Wrapped it up.